Lula Dean's little library of banned books? Is it something that should be on your banned book list, or should you grab it when you see it in a little library? Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is Spineless Books, your one-stop shop for all things audiobook. Lula Dean's caught my eye somewhere in some recommendation on some list. I really wish Goodreads had a section where you could record where your recommendation comes from. I find so often that someone recommends a book and I put it on my TBR and maybe I don't get to it for months or even years, or I see something in a video, or I see something from an influencer, or it comes from a list. I would love to be able to note where I am finding this recommendation, because when I have had the chance to follow up with someone and actually get to talk about a book after I've read it, which honestly might be months or even years later, I often have no recollection of where it came from. But those have been super satisfying experiences when I have been able to go back and circle back with that person and talk about the book. So come on, Goodreads, do better. Anyway, so Lula Dean. I saw this book somewhere, and I picked it up, put it on my list, got it from my library, and started to read it. Now, right away, it was lighthearted, it was funny, it was silly, and I thought this could be sort of a vapid, empty read, but it made me laugh a couple of times in the first 10 minutes, so I thought, let me just give this a try and see where it goes. The basic plot is about two women from a small southern town, Lula Dean, and her arch nemesis, Beverly Underwood. Now, Beverly is the head of the school board, and Lula Dean is the banner-waving book banner who's insistent that all smut and inappropriate work is taken out of the local library. So Lula Dean, in all of her pushiness, gets her way, and all of the banned books that she confiscates end up in Beverly Underwood's basement because she is the head of the school board. Now, Beverly Underwood happens to have a daughter named Lindsay who is openly gay, and obviously we know Lula Dean's not going to be cool with that. But when those books end up in the basement, Lindsay gets an idea. Now, Lindsay is not around in the book the entire time, but she is around in the beginning for this pivotal moment. She makes a decision under the cover of darkness to take some of the banned books from the basement and go over to Lula Dean's little library and replace books. But she leaves the original book jackets. So she takes some very controversial books and basically tucks them in the book jackets of some pretty safe, innocuous vanilla books and swaps things out. Now you can imagine the impact that would have on a town full of people if you can suspend your disbelief enough to think that nobody's ever going to look beyond the book jacket as they start reading. That is the case in this story, and it's necessary for it to be believable, but go with it because it's worth it. So little by little, the townsfolk start borrowing from the little library, and they are getting Lindsay's swapped out banned books instead of Lula Dean's wholesome books. Chicken soup for the soul is not chicken soup for the soul in this case. So you can see how this satire leads to all heck, sorry Lula Dean, breaking loose. Here's the thing. If you take this plot at face value and bail because it seems silly or really not that interesting, you are missing out, my friend, because this book was chock full of complicated, really skillfully woven, absolutely crazy plot points that I did not anticipate. Kirsten Miller has planned a literal masterpiece. The weaving that she does, the setting up that she does, and just the knot that she has made by this simple switched book scenario is really intensely complicated, and I was extremely impressed. Everything in this wild ride that could go wrong does. Now, luckily, you've got narrator January Lavoie to carry you through, and January Lavoie, as many of you know, is one of my favorites. She's just an excellent narrator. She does just the right amount of voice changes. She doesn't really use character voices, but you get a sense of differentiation between the characters, and she just moves the book along at a great clip, and it's really fun and really upbeat, and this book was just mayhem, and I loved it. So I have to tell you, I did have my doubts in the beginning, but I am really, really happy that I went through with this full book. If you are looking for a light read that is fun and a little bit controversial, but really good-hearted and has some great messages in the middle of a complicated, heavily woven plot that will make you laugh, this is the book. But remember, you might love what I hate and hate what I love, so make your own opinion. But thanks for listening to mine. Don't forget to like and subscribe.